Good morning and welcome to the second day of the 2014 Streaming Forum. Thanks for joining us again, or in some cases for the first time today. Hopefully once again today you'll see we've got a great program. 3 tracks in rooms A, B, and C. This room will be divided into 3 rooms. And the program today's schedule is roughly the same as yesterday, although you notice that lunch is a little bit shorter and the break in the afternoon is also a little bit shorter, which will allow us to wrap the day up at 4:30. But we've got great content right up until the very end, and even though the break is shorter today, it will once again have ice cream, which for whatever, exactly, good. So that was a nice surprise yesterday. Anyway, a few housekeeping notes. Again, for those of you who weren't here yesterday, coffee, tea, and lunch will be served across the hall in the sponsor showcase. I won't list them all off again today, but thank you again to all of our sponsors who helped make this possible, and thank you to all of you, the delegates, for joining us, and especially to our speakers who help us put on such a great program full of content covering everything from media and entertainment to corporate video and all areas in between. And once again, let's begin then. For our keynote speakers, as I said yesterday, we kind of went for companies that were really what we felt were disruptors in the industry, true disruptors. That's a word that gets thrown around a lot, but we feel that both BT Sport, who gave a great keynote yesterday, and TV2 Sumo are certainly in that category. Every 4 years, as many of you probably know, everything in Norway pretty much grinds to a halt for the Winter Olympics, in the birthplace of modern skiing, not to mention a country where sports like the biathlon and curling are huge. The entire country turns its attention to the exploits of its Olympic athletes. So when it comes to delivering those events live, whether over broadcast or the internet, let's just say failure is not an option. With this year's Sochi Olympics, for the first time a Norwegian commercial broadcaster held the rights to the Olympics. Needless to say, that situation generated more than a little controversy in a country where the ability to view the Olympics is practically seen as a birthright. The broadcaster, TV2, and its OTT service, TV2 Sumo, faced challenges in both the technical realm and in the realm of public opinion, but was able to deliver the Olympics without a hitch. I'm pleased this morning to welcome Christian Burøy, the head of TV2 Sumo, who will share the experience in his keynote this morning. So would you please help me in welcoming Christian Burøy?
Yes, thank you very much, everybody. As you might hear, my voice is a bit sore, so I will try to do my best anyhow, so please excuse me. First time I did this presentation, as you will see it now, was in Denmark a couple of weeks ago. And now I'm in UK, and it's a bit difficult to try to explain how we as Norwegians are so really hooked up into winter sports, like skiing and the other minor sports in a global perspective. But Norwegians are crazy. So, and winning a total of how many gold medals we had, I think it was 10 or 11, it's something huge for us. And in Denmark, they have never won a gold medal in the Olympics, and the UK doesn't have very much their own. But this year, you won. You had one in skeleton. Anyone who know who won? No. You see that? It's like, I'm not sure how many of you people from UK, of course there are people from the rest of the Europe and the rest of the world as well, but Lizzie Arnold, she won the first gold medal in many years for the United Kingdom. But for us, as Eric described, the Norway is the cradle of skiing. This is an old poster from the National Rail company who tried to sell in that Norway is for skiing. So that is one of the expressions. The other one, and of course all the mothers in Norway has a problem with that. That is of course that we are born with skis on our feet. So that's a bit painful for all the mothers when they are coming out like this. But skiing is so important for us, and the Olympics are. Now I'm going to show you a small video. It's maybe one of the most important days for us as Norwegians, but also for us as sumo, because that is when we break all the records ever was in Norway.
historiens første OL-miksstafett. Nå Norge favoritter.
Rolig, men raskt. Den måten han går på, det jo ballett på snø.
Ja, Ole Einar han en kunstner.
Ja, det perfekt, Kjell Ove. Det Tiril Eckhoff gjør der.
Nå det alvor her. Nå det blodig alvor.
Uforglemmelig øyeblikk. Det det vi jakter på.
Nå, kom igjen.
Ja, men det ikke lesebrillene, det bare skibrillene. Det går bra uten Kjell Ove.
Dette skiskytterkongen!
Da det bare å gi på. Han brakk staven! Vi tilbake! Gi Petter Northug en stav!
Jeg elsker å se Bjørndalen gå skiskyting.
Og jeg elsker å se Emil Hegle Svendsen, gullgutten på fellesstarten.
Litt sånn kritisk nå, Ola. Ikke slipp de for langt foran der.
For en etappe!
Kongeetappe! Han skyter fort! Han skyter fyrer! Ja, for en serie! Det en rein maktdemonstrasjon i Emil Hegle Svendsen! Du har tid til å juble opp på publikum! Herlighet!
Nå tar han noen magadrag her. Har vært rene svartedauden, så vi tilbake. Vi tar en gullmedalje til. Vi tar en gullmedalje til. Det Ingvild Flugstad Østberg og Marit Bjørgen. De feier all motstand av ballen. Gratulerer!
2 kvinner, 2 menn!
We are back in the ball game. I love it. Hvilket lag vi har.
So this is maybe the biggest event that we can have. This is biathlon and cross-country skiing. And as you might know, that the Olympics was on daytime in Norway. So suddenly the OTT was really, really important to give out to the audience. And I'm coming more into this day, the 19th of February, because that is when we really build up everything again, because that wanted to be the day where every records could appear, and they did. But before we go this far, I want to recap. Norway is a small country. It's 5 million people living there approximately. That's a third of London. So, but the area we are covering are huge, with fjords and mountains and a long country up in the north. We only have 2.2 million households. So even though we have all the oil money and that kind of stuff, it's like building a user payment or ad model is difficult. It's hard. But that's a way of living. So, but also recapping a bit about TV2 for those people who don't know. It's a commercial broadcaster, the first one with a license, started back in 1992. This is the king and the queen of Norway who had the opening of the channel then. That's how important the channel was back in 1992. But we represent the part of innovation, and in 1997 I found this as an excerpt for our annual report. It's said that we have tried something new. It's a service for Norwegians abroad. The evening news offered live at tv2.no. So we started streaming back in 1997, which is quite early. So we have built it from there. And I wanted to show you another picture, because in 1998, the year after, then this year's big hero in Russia, the Norwegian biathlonist Ole Einar Bjørndalen, he won his perhaps last gold medal. You never know, but he is the most winning gold medalist in the history of Winter Olympics. He won his first gold medal in 1998. So he has been with us all the time. So just wanted to bring in that. And since we are a small country, we can experiment. So in 2002, we introduced payment for subscription video on demand. So that is a quite early stage in the history of broadband and OTT. That's somewhere between the dinosaurs and the Ice Age. But the reason why we started it, this was back in 2002. We started with Norwegian football, offering live streaming of all the matches in the Norwegian Premier League. And even that was a crazy idea. We did it together with NRK, which is the state broadcaster back then. And we have experimented since. And Since we have a success in 2002 with people getting paying, we turn on more and more programs the next year. So 2003, then more or less the service was closed for the open public. And we have been mentioned in several occasions like this as a more like a success story. And the success criteria, I put it up behind me, that's great content, that's first. Bring the content out, make it as accessible or available as possible. I focus on high video quality and that we are editorial in our mindsets when we are building a guidance. We have a strong customer focus and try to have an honest pricing. The pricing is maybe difficult, but because we have many packages, but it's at least honest. It's easy in, easy out. So, and other products around the world are maybe better than us on pricing because they're keeping even more simple than we are. But I think that is being honest with the end user is important. And then it's the last thing, to be innovative, to always try to be ahead or bring something new, even it's in an editorial way, or that we are one of the first to offer HD streaming of a linear broadcast. So it's like always try to do that. So here is a video describing more of the service. It's in English, so you get a better picture than the last video.
Welcome to the magical world of TV2 Sumo. We are the largest Norwegian subscription-based web TV service and offer exclusive content on all platforms.
Well, what if I told you I don't think he did it?
Whole seasons of the best drama.
Want him out there than usual.
International entertainment formats. Original drama series.
Velkommen til hovedsending av
News and documentaries.
System in fra vest. Really know what it's like to be together.
Vi er ikke her for å slåss!
Children's content.
Kom igjen, Elias!
And international sports events.
Så skårer Robin van Persie!
TV2 Sumo.
And as you saw in the last shots, the English Premier League is really, really important for the service at the moment. That's one of the things that really brings out the service to our public, which is interesting to pay at least. More and more are interesting to pay, but that is like, we can have a high price for them. So our pricing structure is that we have an entertainment package and then we have a sports package. And this is the pricing now. It's about 129 kroner, which is 13 pounds, and for the entertainment package, are more or less the double for the sports package. So we are a bit more expensive than other services in our country. Like Netflix it's 89 kroner now, and the same thing with the Viasat, which has their player called the Viaplay, and so there are. Just below 100 kroner in their entertainment package, but they can't compete with us on the sports because this is the most valuable sports rights in the in Norway, sorry, and so we see a huge willingness to pay. So I can add that we are actually the largest distributor, the single distributor of Premier League in Norway, meaning that we are bigger than the largest cable satellite company that are offering the Premier League to the audience. So now we're going to talk more about Olympics, because if this is a paywall and people will sit in their offices or at school or whatever in daytime and want to watch, they don't have the television. Is this the right approach for a first time with the Olympic rights? And as you said, Eric, a bit spoiled by always have that kind of right available through NRK, which is a licensed channel, but open for free, both online and on the digital terrestrial network. So we had to sit down, and we ended up with, okay, let's offer 1 month free. Okay, a brave thing to do, because the discussion in the one end was like, now is the time to maximize the revenue. And on the other hand, it's like, now is the time to really marketing the service and build it for a huge audience, an audience we will never see again for many, many years. This is the time. So we had like we had this this mix of should we go that way or that way. We ended up with 1 month free, and even that you were an existing subscriber, you can churn out and come in for free during that month. So it was a brave thing to do, we felt. So then it started. This meant that we had to build a platform on all over again. So this is the biggest technical change ever done since we started. And we also had a big debate of how are we offering the content. So we ended up that we are mixing together our website, which is both a free and open website. All videos there are for free and ad driven, and we combined those two. So this was the web version of it, which was the most interactive and the most where we included all the engaging functionality. And this was the home place for 1,400 hours live coverage compared to television, who only have approximately 700, 800 hours. So, and we offered all 8 simultaneous feeds, while the TV had to when I'm saying TV, the linear TV had to minimize that to, I think we were, most of our content was broadcast on our 3 channels. The main channel, which is open, the most seen or most viewed television of the commercial broadcasters. It's the most available there, and we had two of our other secondary channels, and we had some in our premium package as well. But this was the place where we included all of our programs during the Olympics, and we tried to bring in second screen elements in conjunction to the video. So we had a live chat and a Twitter feed. Harvesting all the Twitter feeds in our hashtag 2OL. We built in the result service, the live scores. We built inside the video. We had an interactive timeline, which you can go back and forth inside the live streaming. You have seen that before, of course, and adding on images so it was easier to navigate. We had a service we called play-by-play, which was a minute-by-minute editorial tool, which was inside the player. And if you enter it to full screen, then you will still have that with you. We plan to have one other service that you can have multiple feeds inside, but we decided not to because of all the load that could generate. And we also included a poll, which was both on the linear TV and also in here, and it was completely synchronized. So we built editorial questions all the time of who is winning now, or will they who will be on the medal list and that kind of stuff. So working editorial around the video. And most importantly, we wanted to make the service as the most accessible Olympics ever. That was one of the slogans I really fought for. How are we going to make it be on all the screens that are important? And of course you see that the big screen is back there. That was not our main goal, to be on all the smart TVs at that moment. Now it was important to be on all tablets, mobiles and PC versions that we could. So we revamped most of our apps, and Android was our first Android app for sumo only was out. Before that we only had sports apps and that kind of stuff. So we put a real pressure on being out on as many screens as possible, and at least the personal portable screens. So in the back end, that meant that we had to do a massive scale, the largest ever. So we put up this goal. We should handle 300,000 subscribers coming in, registering, put down the credit card, because even though it was 1 month free, you have to put up a payment so we could secure that you were a true person. A lot of Donald Ducks came in, but they went again. But So to handle all that kind of requests towards the system, so we put up a goal of 300,000 should enter and do all that kind of load issues in 3 minutes. I think in the best testing we did, we reached more up to 1 million. So we were pretty sure when we got all things up and running that this could work. But on the way we had several issues, and so. But that was the goal. We moved everything from more like a traditional database structure, of course something was still left, but into microservices. We doubled our server capacity, meaning that we now are running on 6 API servers and 12 front servers. We did a 10 gigabit upgrade on everything. If something happened, we put up a cloud backup solution on several aspects. And we also had the so-called kill switch that we could switch over if we saw that people didn't go through the payment services or registration processes or login processes. Then we can just give them the video, because that was one of the goals. And we also had a backup of putting our live video player, the most simple ever, out in the cloud. So we can, if tv2.no, the whole domain should fall down, we could use social media or whatever to send them that kind of way, or do DNS routing. So we really prepared for the worst that could happen. Of course, the worst thing happened in the weeks before, and I'm going to show you that as well. I'm not hiding anything. So this was on the server side. On the video side, we also did a massive upgrade. We have a lot of we have an SDI production chain, but we expanded that with 6 new live encoders. So now we're up to 40 multi-format channels. We built a new multi-format playout. So now we're running on VOSA. Before that, we had several separate systems. Now we wanted to include it into one system. So that meant we also updated our original servers. We're still running on IIS, but we are also a separate with VOSA. We did a lot of CDN optimizing. We contacted all CDNs and also broadband providers. And then we started calling the one we never talked to. That means the company broadband providers, because they are not used to video. It's like they are offering services in general. Then we discovered that one of the largest one had only 1 gigabit line between the Akamai service that we are using as CDN and themselves. 1 gigabit. How many people are there? There's 10,000 streams or something like that. And we were expecting the 10 times maybe in their network. So at the worst case scenario. So we really found out that these kind of checking was really important for us. And trimming of bit rates, also turning off the highest one, because that just eats broadband in this kind of unicast world we are in. And then we did major transcoding upgrades. At the same time, we built a new product for how to produce highlights. Transcoding had to do with highlights. And I'm going to show you more about how we solved that, because we found out that waiting for the transcoding process for small news clips, there was not an option. We had to produce them even faster. So I'm going to present the solution we made in a couple of minutes. So this was a good plan. Everything was executed, but on the way on executing this, something happened. And when you have a problem, they very often not come alone. They tend to be together. So this is the front end of the service. It's like when you're getting snow on your telly. In that kind of way, we can illustrate it. It's like we had that kind of problem. So the 4th of December. We tested that solution on how to have a multiple channels or a multi-view. And that gave us a huge DRM load that we didn't prepare for exactly. So this is from one of the regional newspapers that then says that TV2 customers missed the the gold party that was in Premier League that weekend, that day, that evening. Of course, we went in and we realized what was the problem, but we really hit our customer base. And this is Norway's second largest website, which is called Dagbladet. And they have put out an expression, what's happening to TV2 Sumo, hopeless, it's clicking in the middle of the Premier League night. So that was the 4th of December. We are working together and the migration process is starting. And then something happens again. Then our mobile streaming, which we are going to remove out in advance for the VOSA platform the multi-platform playout we are. But when they were still up and running, then suddenly that says goodbye. So we suddenly hit all of our tablet and mobile users, which is approximately 1/4 of the users, and that gave a huge traffic in social media, probably in classic media as well. Then, 19th of January, we're reaching into the Olympics starts on the 7th of February. Then we are failing again on some of our servers, and we are pissing off a lot of our customers again, and that was in the middle of Chelsea, Manchester United. Not a small match to start. So how should you keep everybody happy during when everybody's working day and night? Because that was the effect then, and something like that happened, and you have social media and people are calling you everything, and then it happens again. And that's on the 28th of February. Then we had the most, what you call it, banal, is like a simple mistake happening. It's too many streams running at the same time against the Origin servers, so one of the Origin servers fell down because of overload in storage. So it's like when you're trimming and tuning and everything in some kind of place, there is an error there. So the other Origin servers were up and running, but this one of course hit, and it hit 8 minutes before the end. And this is where you have Liverpool playing against Everton, and you have Solskjaer playing against the Cardiff manager playing against, which is Norwegian, playing against Manchester United at the same time. So like 8 minutes before, it's like you're really, really pissing off. So even though they came in again and we have a backup feed and everything, that too much was now done. And then the question started. The technical trouble are threatening the Olympics, and this is not a tabloid. This is the most serious newspaper in Norway who writes it. It's like the Independent of Norway. It's like one of the really serious. And then one of those who are not that serious make it really tabloid, because they say that you make Ryanair to look like a Mother Teresa in customer support. So it was like, how when we are working with this, how we can laugh now, but how to motivate in that kind of situation. So I found a video which illustrates really well, because this is how it happened, and it is from an advertisement from Procter & Gamble. So I showed it to our employees. People were crying. If it's a tear coming up now, it's okay.
I know, it's cold.
So that was the little kickoff that we had a couple of days before the start. I showed them the video and said, okay, let us hope this is the story that we are going through as well, because it's like now we have bumped down, we have fallen, we have broken our legs and whatever. Now it's time to fight for the Olympic medal. And so we did. And we got the same success story that's mentioned in this one. And it's like one of our project managers, she mentioned to me a couple of days ago actually, and said, that video, that meant something at that kind of point. I said, yeah, it's a commercial, yeah, but it meant something. And it's a real story. And this is, I try to tell it to you at the same way, because you can't tell a story without having some climaxes and some, so it's a part of my storytelling now. So now I'm going to show you how we actually did the Olympics, or how the audience embraced us, because we became heroes immediately. And it started, now we're going to go through a 50 slides, small story, but it goes fast. It started in the morning. People lying in bed, watching sumo. People that went out of bed, just picked up breakfast and went back again. People went to their breakfast table and brought us with us. And the people made really good breakfast and watched us. And when they had finished their breakfast, it was time to commute to work and whatever. So they brought their screens with them in their car. And when there was a queue, there was a brilliant option to bring up your laptop. And even if you were driving alone, you could watch the Olympics. So, and when maybe this was his work, but when you came to work, then you have a dual screen working. And even if you didn't have a dual screen and you were in the middle of a big project, we were in the center of and even if you had even just a little screen and a couple of minutes to sum out, you were getting together around a mobile screen. And even if it's a small screen, it's plenty of room for a lot of people around it. And if you're working at a grocery store, you will go back in the storage room and watch the match. And even if you're working in the front of that store, you do it. And if you're in a shopping mall where nothing happens, you are watching. And in a restaurant, it's the same thing. If you're working at the airport, they were doing it. And in the evening time, when you have all the nurses have a couple of minutes to sit down, they took us with them and watched our entertainment program around the Olympics. This was people working, and then you have another group which is really interesting in this. So that's the pupils or the students. So they were sitting there. They were also multitasking when they were streaming. They was learning about the religion, and that there was an image or a photographer. it's if you see in the back there, it says it's bildeforbud. That's the word for that when Jesus had that you should not have no images. No, Moses. You should not have images. So then they were watching the images, moving images. And some schools, they was fed up by that, so they blocked us. And so many organizations started blocking us because we were eating bandwidth or taking away attention at workplace and schools. So this is from a school. The most interesting part of someone actually closing down our website was another media company, the second largest newspaper house in Norway, had so much problems with their internet, so they closed down the streaming of us. It was people who was going to upload advertisements for the newspaper couldn't do it because we have overloading in their network. So even media started censoring. And then people were sitting in classrooms on big screen. This is the cool teacher. You didn't have to hide. Or somebody was lazy or sleeping anyhow. And people were sitting in back and forth at school watching this. And here we counted, or they were tweeting, there were 6 different streams, and it worked perfectly. And people who were studying back home did it. And here's another one who really settled up in his study. People in their boys' room were watching. People at more like the students' place were watching. People in a hotel who didn't have a big screen found a solution. People in the cabins. There was a winter holiday in Norway, so then this was important for them. The Norwegian skiers, they did a lot of mistakes, or at least their team who are preparing the skis are doing a lot of mistakes. So Norwegians, they were trying to do the best back home to both watch the mistakes and learn from them. This is the equipment you need to prep your skis. People sitting ice fishing, watching us. People were at the top of the mountains. People were watching other live sports, but also wanted to follow the Olympics. People were in training. This is from a political convention where they had a couple of minutes off and rather do the Olympics. This is dads on a playhouse with their kids. And all the dads are sitting there, and a mother, she's got furious because she tweeted, she doesn't like men's behavior because they should pay attention to the kids, not the small screen. But then you had dads who were really good and giving the big screen to the kids and the small screen to themselves. And you had people who couldn't have enough screens. They were watching football and Olympics at the same time. Some wanted to watch all the Olympics at the same time. Someone wanted to watch the soccer on a little screen, Olympics at the big screen, and the opposite. And people wanted to be interactive, using our second screen options, but no guy were more interactive than this one.
You can do it. Look at the footwork. The footwork.
So in total, this was how we really hit the audience, and we had 41.6 million started videos and a total of 8.1 million hours streamed. So this was the success that we generated, and as you saw, that we were in people's life suddenly. We have never seen that before. So this is the age before and after the Olympics is really important for us, because now we are known, and I'm going to show you some figures. This is the video usage during the Olympics. The blue ones are the blue line is the unique users watching video, and the red one is started video streams. And I would like to compare it with this is where our average is on started video streams. That's the average in January, actually, just before. So we doubled, more than doubled on the best days, you see. And this is the average of started videos. So we produced so much, people wasn't just watching one event and left again. People were watching highlights, people were watching clips, people were watching so much things. And one of the reasons why, and now I'm coming back to it, is because we built the highlights. It's called the VMON highlights, because VMON is our provider of the video solution. In fact, they are. We also own them as a company. They are a spin-off of TV2, and they made a solution for us, which is called VMON highlights. That meant, I'm going to show you a small video. I can just pause it now. It just illustrates how we produce the videos. And if we are going through the classic process of transcoding, doing it in a real editing suite, send it over to transcoding, then we will spend at least 3, 5, 10, 20 minutes on getting out the highlights news out. And that was too slow. We wanted to have a more faster and maybe also easier to use for the journalists, because they were really pressured in this period. So we gave them the choice to use this tool, and it's I can just play it. There it is. So now you will see the front end. They are working. This is a journalist. I or a reporter who there the athlete comes in, and this is cloud-based, so people don't have to download anything. It's like it's just in the cloud, and you say that, okay, I would like to go in there. You fast rewinding, say I would like to go in there. The tool is frame accurate, so you can move exactly to a perfect spot, and you go in. As you saw, you grab a photo, and when you press publish, then you are publishing on all platforms at the same time. So it's not like it's not just generating the video for one platform or the web platform that you typically will focus at. Now you're publishing for all the platforms. So it's like instant highlights from live sports on all screens. That is the slogan of the product now, because this became a product. This is what broadcasters really want, because it's just reusing the live streams, and you very often that's enough because you want to have the footage out as soon as possible. So even that it's you can of course set it up as you want to, but even if it's clock or graphics inside that you probably would remove if it's possible, we didn't saw that. The most important thing, get the clips out, and that massively doubled our usage because of it. So I showed you the clip from, or the video from the 19th of February. Here is the figures, because when the girls and also the boys were at the this is sprint, it's called team sprint. Then we reached in Norway, which is quite massive for us. Then we reached 300 gigabit per second in data. That's approximately at that average speed we saw, around 150,000, maybe a bit more, simultaneously users. We are using Conviva to monitor it, but this doesn't catch all the data because we had to do things on the way, so we didn't catch all the viewership. But at least Conviva gave us at a simultaneous playout of 107,000 viewers at that time, and they were streaming in an average bitrate of 2.2 at that moment. So if we know, most of the numbers that not included are Android phones, by the way. So then they have also a fixed stream, very many of those phones at 1.8 megabits. So we can illustrate it back to 150, maybe up to 170,000. I brought a bit down. So that is a new record in Norway, as far as I know, on simultaneously play out. At least the broadband operator said that they had never seen anything like that before, and they were so happy that they could play out. And on mobile that day, we had 7 times the usage ever seen before. It was doubled by 7 because of the high. So it's like a huge success for us. The team sprint is in daytime, takes some time, and you have semi-finalists and you have finals. So I'm going to show you from one of the other events a bit earlier in the Olympics, which just illustrates, because that takes a longer time. That's the individual sprint, and this is the curve from the day. We are not that many thousands in the night time, you see, but in the morning at 7, people start opening up their screens, and when this event starts, then we peaked around 40,000 users. The reason why I show in 40,000 users is that that's one TRP in ad production in Norway. So now we were producing that for 4 hours, and that's only on concurrent users. So, and if we take into us that so many were watching on screens together, even sitting in classrooms, or 5 people around the mobile screens, you summarize it up to, then you will have even more. And when we reached the semifinals, then we were up there at 80,000. Then we are producing 2 TRPs. So, and since we are not having a perfect measurement system for this in Norway on advertisement or official, then this is maybe we're giving away all the advertisements that you see in our channels or streams free. So it was the most, maybe it was. We had never sold as much advertisement as before, but we sold it really cheap. We like to explain to them, because you got all this for free on top of it. I'm not going to show you so much about how big we are in number of subscribers, but I can use a couple of numbers that we have. Before the Olympics, this has been public, we had 140,000 users. At the most, we had 370,000 users, subscribers that was inside our service. And if you compare that to households, we are close to 16-17% of the households in Norway had as a subscription. And this is a fresh report from TNS Gallup, which is one of those who measure these kind of things. And they said that Netflix are represented in 22% of the households. And this is February numbers, and we are 6%. So what the numbers I'm showing you is actually like this. So we're not at the same level. We can't compare ourselves typically to Netflix. We are different products. We are offering live sports, and we are offering mostly catch-up of our programs. But this showed that we brought in a huge mass. And what everybody has been speculating in the business newspapers is how big are TV2 now? Everybody's back to normal and that kind of stuff. I'll not give you the true numbers. I'm not allowed to, because we want to keep that as all the other payment providers in Norway do. Try to keep it simple. That's why we have these kind of silly graphs very often. But what I can show you is the growth. This is the typical growth that we had from month by month. If you compare January 2012 but 13, then we had this kind of increase, and you have that month by month. So you see from August on, we saw the OTT climb. This is where OTT is more used, so we saw a higher growth than we did earlier in the year. In January, then we haven't launched our offer yet. Then we were up in more than 40% higher than the year before. And then the Olympics came, which was like, okay, that is a mountain. But that's not the interesting number. The interesting number now is that we are close to 100% larger than we used to be last year. So it's like this kind of 1 month free have given us true income, because from here and over there, then they are paying subscribers again. So this 70 to 90% increase. Now it's an increase because of we have the 50% of the World Cup rights in the football. But we have panicked a bit also. Not just me, but the whole management of TV2. The top management was like, oh, now we have so many subscribers. Do we have content to interest them in? I said, yeah, we have, of course, the content we are going to offer in TV. Yeah, but that's TV. We need more content or more flexibility around that content. So the crazy thoughts came up from our top managers saying that, okay, we take our biggest program investment this year, our biggest drama, and put it out for binge watching. We take our new fresh sitcom, put that out for binge watching immediately, and we will also do that with other shows that we can do it with. So I'm just showing you a small trailer so you see the production value and whatever. It's like they just wanted to experiment after the Olympics.
Han kommer ikke tilbake.
Kristina er der et sted. Jeg skal finne henne. Og jeg skal ta de som tok henne. Jeg har et spor.
Det er noe som kun finnes oppi hodet ditt. Du kommer til å bli helt... Geir Nystad meldt sammen, og du er etterforskningsleder. Men hvem er det som dreper noen som er død?
Vi skal på sykehjem.
Hvordan finner du ut av alt så kjapt?
Det vet jeg vet, Vigga.
So this is it's as you see, a bit Nordic noir crime story, really engaging, 10 episodes, and the audience or management said, put it out, binge watching, doing the House of Cards way of doing it. Then it appeared that not all the episode was edited ready yet. so we was like, okay, get the first 6 or 7 episodes out now, and we will put it out as soon as we can. And this has already gone into international markets, so it's a high gamble doing that. This was finished. I'm not showing the clip, but that is the sitcom I was referring to. It's called Samurai Security, and it's like it's about at the shopping mall. So all the episode was finished there, just placed it, so we put them out. That exploded. It was like an uptake of nearly 40% of our audiences have an uptake on the episodes the first week. So it's like that was a huge success, and that's targeting quite young as well. And the other one, as mentioned, is targeting a lot of people with that kind of continuous watching. And this is the biggest sitcom in Sweden, hugely popular. And that's a real OTT series for us. And it worked really great. So we got all the episodes there. And we did more. We took Justified, which is an American show, which is really good for OTT. That was, for some kind of reason, it didn't. Nobody had picked up the 5th season of it. So we took all the seasons and included the 5th season. So suddenly we were fresh. We were offering the latest season direct to the end user without being on TV. So we took that investment. And we also took the Amazon shows, the Alpha House and Betas. We licensed that for Norway since Amazon is not represented in our country. So we did a lot of content investment to build around the audience specifically and targeted in the new modern way. And I don't think that most broadcasters are doing this, because it's like a linear play out. That's the most useful way to do it. But now we were really experimenting. And the interesting part is, like, especially on the big crime, is that there is very little overlapping audiences, meaning that we are not cannibalizing. So you see high viewership numbers on TV and even high viewership on us. So we have, of course, you will have people who are maybe watching it both places, but I think we found out that this doesn't cannibalize. And even if it is cannibalizing, that's maybe the trend we see today, and not something that we are introducing to as a threat to TV2 as a company. So, just to summarize up now, we are working with a 4-point strategy where content is really important. It's one of the 4 points we are really working at, and that is to find a way to exploit both our content, licensed content from that you will see both on our servers and our linear, but also content that we go directly into library season and move us way backwards, as we did with Justified. And working in all these kind of windows and breaking them down so you can have them as a separate, that is one of the things we are doing as a broadcaster. On the other hand, we are also focusing even more to be on the big screen. As I mentioned, we had a focus on this personal screens for the Olympics. Now we have a big project going on to be on the most popular devices, Chromecast. As soon as it was launched in Norway, we really put our effort in, and we had some kind of issue with live streaming, as most have, as far as I know, but we have made that work as well. So now the next steps will also be to work on a intuitive design, more intuitive design on all these platforms, as easy as possible, and we will put our focus more and more into understanding all the measurement and data that we see. This is just a curve to illustrate the difference between when we see the usage of Sumo. Now we see if you see in weekdays, is because of Premier League football, of course. But no weekends. But if you look at the weekdays, we have our peak at the end of the day. So why are we having like that? Yes, because this is where you have the TV super prime. So it's like we are not fully there. It's like we try to find all this kind of data and working with the data and try to put them into kind of, so being better understanding the data is also a project we are working on. So, and that's the importance of that, is to get all these things to play together. So, insights, accessibility, functionality, and content, make that play together. So, I think that was this for now. We created unforgettable moments, as our slogan is, and the Olympics was the most unforgettable moment for us so far. Now we are working against Rio, which we also have the rights for. We don't think that that will be as big as the Winter Olympics, mostly because we don't have athletes who can compete against the rest of the world in so many sports. But I hope you thought that this was interesting, and also there were some tips of how to do things and how not to do things. Thank you very much.
I think we have time for a couple of questions if there are any.
Of course.
So you said that the average viewer over the top was getting 2.2. You said that 2.2 was average. What was the range of bit rates that you offered? Because people on Android don't need as much, obviously. And then, for what did you define as the highest definition?
In the Olympics, I think we closed it on 2.8 actually, because we usually have 3.5, but we wanted to make as much space as possible, and cutting off those unneeded. Is that correct, or Kenneth?
Actually, it was 3.2.
3.2, yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. So we limited to 3.2 just because there are limited resources in the country. So.
And was that 720p then?
Yeah, that was 720p.
720.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So.
Other questions?
Yeah, for live premier content like the football or the Olympics, do you see any different viewing behaviour on mobile networks rather than Wi-Fi networks?
We tend to see that the biggest usage is in home, even that is on. So Wi-Fi is bigger, if that's what you're asking. But we now see a climb in mobile usage. There were some numbers from Telenor just recently, the mobile part of Telenor, explaining that if you compare the first 11 days of June compared to the next 11 days, before and after the World Cup started, then you had an increase of 123% usage, and that was video only. That was not. So we see that big events like this drag people to those screens as well, but if you look at the total viewing, the PC platform is still the largest platform we have, and in-home Wi-Fi is rather higher on mobile and tablets than it's on mobile as well, if that was an explanation.
Yeah, do you have any percentages for the Olympics?
More like 15% of the, on most, it would be mobile, but very often between 5 and 10%.
Yeah.
Hi. Did you consider to do any digital ad insertion compared to just running the normal linear ads from your streams?
We decided not to. Yes, this was of course up in the subject, but we decided not to. One of the reasons was that we included all the ads from TV, and we did the best we could to get that kind of measured. So we got some of the currency back again. We did that. We didn't want to confuse the ad buyers. They wanted to buy around sports. That was the first thing. The main product was that, okay, I'm an advertiser. I would like to buy around that sport. So we didn't want to confuse by saying, okay, you get it on that platform and that platform. It's like, since we had that kind of sales model, then we didn't want to mess it up too much. So suddenly you had two mobile companies competing in the same sports, and maybe one of the mobile companies is a sponsor for one of the athletes. So it's like, we tried to do it as platform neutral as possible. But we really wanted to play with that, of course, and also for inserting our own promos to show our own content was a big debate, if that was possible. But we didn't build any solution to do it, even though we see solutions are coming up of But a good question. Yeah, but we decided not to.
Actually, we do have to break now because the staff needs time to separate this room into 3 separate rooms. And I did forget to mention perhaps the biggest change since yesterday, and the most important one, is that apparently there are small air conditioners now in each of these rooms, which should hopefully make the sessions, especially the afternoon sessions, a lot more bearable than yesterday. But I'm sure if you want to stick around and ask Christian questions, you can do that. But we do need to break down the rooms. There's coffee across the hall. That was a terrific keynote. Thank you so much, Christian Brare from TV2 Sumo.